Welcome to April and Debbie Dish the Truth on Weight Loss, where we share the raw, real, and sometimes messy truth about our weight loss journeys.
I am Debbie, a weight loss coach who lost 100 pounds and have been living life in maintenance for 4 years.
And I'm April, a weight loss coach, currently down 75 pounds and continuing my journey in weight loss.
Together, we'll explore the ups, downs, and everything in between, showing you that lasting weight loss is possible no matter where you are on your path.
This week, we're going to talk about the power of when you keep showing up because you never know when the seed you plant will grow.
I
And
love
before we dive into that part, I do want to touch upon the intro has changed a little bit. I changed my piece of it um, because I'm going to give a shout out to my mother-in-law, Mama Michelle. She listens to our podcast and she sent me a really beautiful, supportive text the other day. And she called me out on something, and it was a really, I thought, great point. Um, she essentially pointed out how in my intro, I talk about how I've lost 75 and looking to lose 100 more, and how I am more than my weight. And she went on, I won't read the whole text, but it was very sweet. And she went on about how I'm a wonderful wife and sister and daughter and great friend and stuff like that. And I was like, smacked in the face by it because I was like, this is what we talk about every podcast. And she caught on to something that is so innocent that is also impactful without sometimes realizing it. And when I talked to Debbie about it beforehand, I said, when I say it, usually it did always feel heavy to me, like highlighting the 100 pounds that I still want to lose and knowing that I'm not necessarily losing currently or I've had a gain. And it took away some of the point of that I have lost 75 pounds. So it was just such a thoughtful, and I really appreciated her thoughtfulness and the message and the love and support behind it. And so I wanted to explain why we've changed that. So as I do continue to lose, the number will change in the, intro, but I've decided that like maybe incrementally. So like when I lose another 10 or 25, I'll decide then, but I just want it to be more about I have lost this and these are the things we're learning and these are the things we're working on and focusing on that in the podcast.
I think that is so great. To have First off, to have a mother-in-law who listens to the podcast. Thank you for listening. We
Yes.
appreciate you.
Yeah, she's
And to give
amazing.
such loving support because it's true, and we don't think of these things, and that's why, you know, coaches aren't the only ones that point out these things. It's our friends and our family, and we need to be willing to listen, and it
Mhm.
gave you the power to step out of, you know, feeling heavy when you say that. And we do talk so often on this podcast about not focusing on the entire journey, focusing on the right now. So I love that she shared that and it hit home for you and, you know,
Yes. Yes, I'm very lucky. She's amazing and always full of love and support. And so thank you to her for listening too, because I love knowing that people are listening. But now we're going to move into the topic, which was kind of sparked by my gardening journeys. um, and so Kevin and I started gardening 5 years ago. This is our fifth year. And just as any gardener learns, every year some things do well, some things don't. It's a learning curve. It's Mother Nature's involved, so you just never know. But one thing that we've always tried to grow and never had success was zucchini for 4 years. And this is something that I always hear people, a lot of gardeners complain like they have too much zucchini. It's so easy to grow. They're trying to give it away. And here we are trying to grow this quote unquote easy plant and we just didn't have success. It just would never take off. We would get like little babies, they would die off. We wouldn't get any babies, like whatever. So this year, Kevin was like, let's just not do it. Like it just doesn't work for us. We do great with other things. Let's focus on what we do well with. And I was determined. I said, no, I want zucchini. So I tried a different type of zucchini. We tried a different way to plant it. We just tried different things. And we had our first successful zucchini baby. It grew like 6 inches. I cut it last night, cooked it up. It was delicious. We both really enjoyed it. But when I picked it and I held it and I thought, this is such a message. And it also just translated to me in my journey and our everybody's journey in weight loss. Like, keep trying different things. Never give up. Keep showing up. Just because this other type of zucchini worked for somebody else, like I kept trying different versions or I forget what they're called, but different types of them. The point to me was perseverance, right?
Mm.
Just keep showing up every day, keep trying, keep wanting it enough for yourself to try to find what might work for you, right? And that's the thing, like every day it's a new opportunity to see what feels good to you, try a different way. Um, I have a friend who's trying to increase their water intake and she's trying to figure out how much is good for her, how much is too much. And I said, you really have to listen to how you're feeling. I know for me, and I've talked about this before, I try to get 120 ounces of water a day. 100 is optimal. 80 is still okay. And I know if I'm under 80, my day, I don't feel as great. And my plan doesn't go as well food wise. But those are my numbers that I figured out. For her, it's going to be very different. First of all, she's a different size. So she's going to, whenever I read articles, I always see drink half your body weight in water in ounces. But it's really about what feels good to you. And I just, I don't know. Hopefully people are getting the connection. But when I held that zucchini, I was so stupid, excited, and happy that I got the zucchini and I was able to cook it for us for dinner. And it was something that we persevered and we finally had success. And that feeling is such a gift. And if you keep going, eventually you will figure it out and you will get that gift and you'll just feel so proud of yourself.
I love that. And whatever it is, holding that zucchini, I mean, you didn't give up. And I think that so often in our journey to our goals, we give up before we get to hold the zucchini. So we never get that feeling. And like, and it's not just holding the zucchini, it's everything you learned in the last 5 years
Right.
to grow that zucchini. Like, oh, this didn't work. So you didn't stop. You thought, okay, what do we do differently?
Mhm.
And that's so beautiful, especially when you got to benefit from the rewards of growing that zucchini. We had zucchini this week too, and it was a little teeny tiny. I said to Kevin, "Where's the rest of the zucchini?" He's like, "That's it."
It really goes to anything, whether it's weight loss or any goal that you have to achieve. It's so easy. And it goes back to stuff we've talked about before, comparing ourselves to others. I would get like, I worked in an office where their family member would bring in these buckets, basketfuls of zucchini to give away. And I would be like, oh, why can't I? I would get so frustrated when I saw it and we couldn't even get one. But again, comparing but we had success with our cucumbers. Like we had things successful. And that's the thing too. Like, look at what you are doing well and really appreciate it. It's so easy to say, yeah, I got cucumbers, or yeah, I did this, or yeah, I drank my water, but I didn't do this. It really negates what you have done. Just say, I hit my water goal today, period, end of sentence. There's no reason to say, but I didn't on top of that. You could say, I hit my goal of 120 ounces of water today, and tomorrow I'm going to work on getting up at 5 a.m. or whatever your other goal is. But to say it in both positives instead of a positive and then a negative is really, it just feels better and it's more productive to move forward.
And it goes right back to, the change in the introduction, right? Like
Mhm.
the first part feels good, but then it's but bum,
Yep.
like that.
Yes.
And so, finding the things that we just keep doing and trying because everybody's journey is so different. And, you
Mhm.
mentioned cucumbers, like you've got a lot of cucumbers and, we don't we don't know what people do to get all of their zucchinis, right? We don't know how many years they've worked to bring in all the zucchinis to give away. You know, and I think that we forget that when we look at other people's success, it's like, oh, but look at them. Why am I not doing that? And, you know, I mean, they may have had 5 years of growing their little first zucchini too. And I think that's why it's so important for us to focus on, of course, look at the outside to, see what people are doing, what feels good, what might work for you. But in the end, it's us figuring out for ourselves how to best grow that zucchini, how best to show up in our body with our food and our water and our goals, whatever they are.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something too, like it's you just want to keep reminding yourself. It's so easy to slip into these thoughts, just like with the intro, as you brought up, Debbie. Like my mother-in-law had to point that out to me, even though I knew every week when I would say it, it didn't feel great to say it. And I felt this like pressure, like I should be delivering more weight loss to the podcast, you know? But it's a journey and it is pulling from different areas. I listen to so many different people. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. On podcasts or YouTube and I pull different things and I try them out and I see what resonates and what doesn't. And as you do it, you build it. Just like with the gardening. Every year we've gotten better and better. And now we've gotten better with the zucchini. So that's super exciting. But it's a learning process. And when we compare, it's a great point that you pointed out, like you're only seeing the good thing. People
Mhm.
present the good more often than the struggles. So I didn't see if they struggled years before that, if this was years in the making for them to get good at that. And I think it's so, especially in the day and age that we have of the internet and social media, painting those pretty pictures all the time, my
Mm.
perfect day of food or my perfect workout, or it's such a facade of reality. They have struggles too. They're not necessarily representing them along with their perfect days, but there's no person out there that does not have days that aren't ideal. And they just keep going. They persevere through it to the next day.
Yeah. And when you're going through that day, and I think that that is so important, is that to point out again, and you pointed out, like I have a client who pointed out or shared with me that a friend had lost 7 pounds in a week because I don't know, they said they gave up wine, I think it was wine or bread. And that's what they said. And so this um amazing person who was doing so much great work thought, well, I've got to stop everything and I've got to go totally against what I want to do to lose my weight. And I'm going to do this because it's a quick result. You know, and that's what they were told. You don't know what else the person gave up, what else might be going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. And it can bring us just so down and steal the joy of our journey. And, just you can hear what they're saying. And if I don't know, if you want to give up wine to lose 7 pounds really fast, I mean, go ahead and try it. I mean, whatever feels good for you. But just remember, just because somebody tells you that's how they did it, doesn't mean that's how they did it. They may not want to share the 5 years of digging in the dirt or, the hard work that went into it. And you know what? That's really a shame, honestly, because hearing how you and Kevin changed your seed packets, maybe you're planting, like all the
Mhm.
things that you did, sharing that with everybody shows the foundation that you made to end up with the final product. And when you simplify the work that you've done, you're really taking away from your journey because like me losing 100 pounds wasn't easy. I just didn't say, hey, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. It was work. And every day I learned something different. And now, and you know what? Now, when I weighed myself last night and the negative self-talk just wasn't in my head, it came out my mouth. doing that also steals from what I've already done. Like, the work I've already done. So don't when whatever it is doesn't end up exactly the way you want it, or there's something that changes in your journey, it doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean anything other than we're still showing up in life. And sometimes everything goes just as planned, and some things life happens and you go with it. And sometimes that brings on an extra couple pounds. Sometimes going with it brings a zucchini. We don't know, but we just got to keep going and keep trying and keep being aware.
I love that you shared all of that and that when you got on the scale and you had negative self-talk, even out loud, you said things.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to share that because I often will see because I will like go on Facebook and read posts and see what people talk about and what their struggles are about weight. And a common thread is like, how do you get over the gain? How do you stop talking to yourself negative? How do you and the thing is, I think we all look for this like magic equation of what's going to magically make us feel better and do better. But there really is no magic equation and there's no magic anything. It's the perseverance. It's the just showing up. That is the magic. Like you got on the scale, you had thoughts, you said things to yourself, and that's natural. That's normal. We
Yes.
we those thoughts are not going to ever like not show up. It's a matter of how loud they show up. Over time, you'll learn to answer it back quicker. Like, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, but now I'm doing this and whatever. But it's when we choose to kind of like stay there and have that give up moment, essentially, like, why bother? But instead, you're hearing it. And then the next day, you're like, okay, this is my plan for day today. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying. And I think that's the only magic pill that's out there is to keep going and to keep trying and to keep showing up and never giving up on
100%.
yourself.
Yep. And never giving up on ourselves, knowing it is because I think every single person listening to this podcast, and if you are not somebody that falls into this category, please tell me. But I think every single person has tried to lose at least 1 pound in their lifetime, right?
Mm,
And when you're going after that 1 pound, you don't give up. You just keep going, right? And so if we're willing to keep going for 1 pound or one walk, like we just got to keep going and going and going. And, you mentioned like the different ways that we do it. I always find the perfect snack that I'm not going to binge on, right? And I bring it into the house and this is it. And no food is going to stop me from overeating when I want to overeat. It just is not. So all these perfect snacks I bring in that I'm going to just eat with such awareness. Um I bought 3 bags of them and I love them and they are so good. And yesterday not last night, the night before, I had planned one healthy size bowl, which meant like topped right on over. And I said to Kevin, I said, I don't want to have another bowl. My plan is this one bowl. I said, please help me with that. And he got up to get his ice cream. He said, I'm not getting you any more. He said, please don't be mad. You asked me not to. And I said, okay. So he went. And then I got up and I got another bowl. I wasn't tasting it. I wasn't hungry, but I just ate it. And I got up yesterday morning and I threw the rest of the bag away. Now, some people may call that a waste. And it is. I mean, I wasted food, I wasted the money I spent, but I knew if it was still here last night, my thought would be, I am going to eat the rest of the bag so it's not in the house anymore. So one way or the other, it was not going to be in my house. Either I was going to
mhm.
eat it or I was making the choice to throw it away. And not from a place of restriction, because I could eat it, I could go to the store and still buy it, but from a place of I know how I work around that. And it just isn't supporting my goals and choosing to throw it away for my reasons. And you know what? Last night I had blueberries and I said to Kevin, I said, these blueberries are so good. You know, I mean, my mind doesn't care what it's eating, really and truly. I think it just wants the action of it. And I think, that's another thing. Just because like we eat all the ice cream doesn't mean we can't stop eating the ice cream. Either we can figure out why we're eating it or we can choose to eat something else. Because if I go into my day every day thinking I am just gonna overeat on this chocolate, like until my brain is willing to think, well, maybe we won't, it needs some help. So that's what I gave my brain some help yesterday and threw that bag away. Kind of went on a tangent there, but I think it's
No,
so important that we make choices that go against what people say. You shouldn't waste food, you shouldn't waste money. But sometimes making our own choices to do things that work for us is more important than what everybody else says, as long as it's healthy and makes sense for you.
I don't think you went on a bad tangent. I think it was great, and I loved everything you shared. I do have some things I want to share about what you said, and one thing is about the waste. So I have struggled with this a lot in terms of throwing away food or not eating everything that's been given to me at a restaurant or anything. And I've had to work around the thought of waste. And I'm still working on it, but I've gotten a lot better. And you talked about throwing away the snack that you chose that you didn't want to eat anymore right now. So in this moment, that was a gift to yourself to say, I don't want it around me right now. If I want it again in the future, I can go get it. But in terms of waste, that is our own selective view of what that means. And what I mean by that is you could say, or someone could say, you throwing that out is a waste. Somebody else could have eaten that. Now I tell myself, it doesn't matter if I put it in my mouth and eat it into my stomach, or if I throw it in the trash, that person who could want it isn't getting it either way. I'm not
Mhm.
taking that food from them. And I know, I think, especially our generation, we did grow up hearing all the time there's hungry children who could, and it was this guilt in us like, oh, I have to eat it to honor them. But it's honoring your body and the choice you made. And it's also kind of like when you go out to a restaurant, you pay for a meal. So you paid for that snack. You ate enough of that snack to what you enjoyed and thought, I don't want any more, so I'm done with it. Regardless, you're not choosing to have it, but the money's already been spent. The choice was
Mhm.
made that that's what I want to do. So I guess really I'm trying to say is question what waste means to you. Are you going to waste that money by putting it in your body and not feeling good, or you want to waste it and throw it out and feel good that you threw it out?
Yeah.
Waste can mean both things. And so the other thing is about you mentioned other people would think you wasted money. I'm not going to say everybody in the world, but most of us, a lot, whatever word you want to say, many waste money in our own ways, whether it's on
Mm.
food, whether it's on clothes, cars, gambling, smoking, drinking, gaming. There's so much out there that we spend money on that somebody else could think, oh, that's wasteful. So it's all relative to what we're doing. It's really what we think about it. If that money spent was worth it in that moment and you got your full of it and you decided I'm done with it, it's not. Hopefully I explained my thought process on that well, but um I think we always are thinking about what everybody else is thinking and interpreting about what we're doing. And it doesn't really matter because what they're doing, they're not worried about what we think about what they're doing. So
No,
why do we sit here worrying about what they think? It's wasted energy, really.
it really is. And one of the things that I always try to embrace, like, not everybody's thinking about me. Like, people are not walking around thinking,
Mm,
oh, is Debbie Lurvy throwing away a snack today?
right.
No,
Yeah.
they are living their own little life and moving on. And it's the judgment I have of myself for wasting. And but you said it so right. I'm right. I mean, we can choose our definition of waste, and everybody's definition is different. It's like
Mm,
taking home leftovers from a restaurant. I take them home most of the time to throw them away. Like, and I've stopped doing that. I mean, I eat what I eat. If I wanna take it home and it's something I'll enjoy later, I bring it home, but if I know it's something that I'm just not gonna heat up, I leave it at the restaurant. And yes, do the servers say, "Is everything okay? How come?" Yeah, I ate what I wanted. And, it's okay to say that. I mean, it's okay to say, "Yeah, the meal was great, but I've had enough." Like, we do that at home in our weight loss journeys or our life journeys. Doesn't even, you know, we eat what satisfies us. And when we go out to a restaurant, that satisfaction level doesn't really change because you're out at a restaurant. So, you know what? If you leave it on your plate at home, leave it on your plate at the restaurant and know it's still okay. And if they ask, I'm fine. It was great. Thank you. That's it. You don't have to feel guilt because you're leaving it there. That's something I've experienced a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. And two, when you said nobody's sitting there worrying if Debbie's throwing away the sandwich or whatever. Also, it made me think nobody is worrying about what Debbie or April thinks about what they're choosing to do. Like if somebody's going to get their hair done and spending $300, some people do that. They're not stopping and thinking, "Oh, I wonder if Debbie's going to find out or April's going to find out what I spent and have." That's what we want to think of. Nobody else is they're doing for themselves. We have to learn how to do for ourselves and feel good about what we're choosing to do for ourselves. And the other thought that came to my mind when you talked about leaving food behind and at the restaurant or at home, one thing I've noticed over my time in these past few years is there was a lot more throwing away of food in the beginning. As I've gone along and I've tuned into more of like where I'm at, there will be some that I throw away, but not as much because
Mm.
I'm understanding my body more and what works best for me and what, too much is. And so when we're learning all these new tools and in other ways too, everything's not going to feel hard forever to the level that it feels hard, right? So when we are first learning how to maybe say no to having a drink with friends out in the beginning, it's going to feel so intense and so against the grain because it's what you've always done, or saying no to dessert or whatever you're choosing to say no to. But after you do it a few times, and it could be months, it could even be years of trying it because it does take practice of breaking 20, 30 plus years of a habit that we may have had, but eventually it will get to be like that's just what you do. Just like
Yeah.
you used to always have dessert. Now I don't always have dessert. And it's just, I feel like, I know for me, I don't know, especially with you in maintenance. So it'd be interesting to hear. But I know for me, still in the journey of actively working on losing weight, sometimes the things I try to incorporate feel so intense. And I feel like, oh, I have to do this forever. But I've noticed drinking the water, that's a good example, I think, for me. So when I first started to increase my water, I was like, "Good lord, this was a lot of effort." Like, I had to constantly be thinking about bringing water. I was setting timers on my phone about drinking water, all of these things I was trying to do to make sure I was drinking water. Now, I have a very routine that I have developed, and it's more second nature. But it's been a couple of years of trying to get to this point. So, like, I talk about how I drink 120 on usually. And during the week, I know on my ride to work, it's a 25-minute ride. I usually have 40 ounces done by then. Then I usually have 40 ounces done by 12. And then I have the rest of the day and dinner to hit the next 40. So now it's become much more easy for me to do it, but it didn't feel easy in the beginning. So I just want to, it was a thought that I had that I want to share with other people that if it feels very hard for you right now, remind yourself it's temporary. Anything we do that's new is going to feel hard. Think about when you start a job. Everything feels like so hard, so intense, right? Debbie is
Yeah.
going through this right now with a new job.
Yes,
So
I am.
everything's like, how am I going to learn this? When am I going to learn this? And in a few months to a year, it's going to be like second nature. You're not even going to remember how hard it was in the beginning, right? So that's something to keep in mind as well.
And I love as we're wrapping this up that you brought it back that way. I did start a new job on Tuesday and I'm not gonna lie, I cried when I left because Kevin and I have been together for the last 2 months constantly, and it's been so great. I survived.
I can understand
Um,
that.
but, you know, I went in nervous because all new people. I'm in a whole new state. I'm in a new town. I don't know a soul. And I went in and I was afraid and I watched things happening. And yesterday I did some training and I was like, now I get what I was watching on Monday. So it's like, it's just that little bit of time. And I was like scared. Oh, I waited a couple days. I learned and oh, I know this. I mean, it was something so small, but I was so proud of it. And I think that everything that you said, you talk about how, you don't throw as much away now because you're more in tune and you know what you need. So it was hard then, now it's easy. The water was hard then, now it's easier. Growing the zucchini was hard and now it's easier, right? And I think that is the message that we are trying to get out to everybody today is don't give up. Don't
Mhm.
don't miss reaching your goal of losing a pound, of not snacking after dinner if you're not hungry. Whatever it is you're working on, don't give up when it's so close in sight. You don't know if you kept going today, you might hit that goal tomorrow. And if you keep going today, you'll certainly hit it one day sooner because you kept going.
Mhm. Yes.
So we invite everybody. Let's hear some questions. What do you want to hear us talk about? Any win that you want to celebrate to hear us shout you out on here? We'd love to hear from you. So please email us, drop comments, whatever, to get in touch so we can talk about a subject important to you.
Yes.
So April, I hope you have a really good week this week.
Thank you too. And everybody out there, I hope it's a great week. And as Debbie said, yes, please send in any wins or any questions. We always will have something to talk about, as we always do personally, but we do love to focus on helping others specifically. So if you have a question, please email us at April and Debbie Dish the Truth at gmail.com, or you can go to the Facebook page with the same name.
So from my heart to your journey, keep blooming.
And as always, wake up willing to do something that feels good to you.
Have a great day.
Bye.